Everyone's talking about Facebook ads for churches. They work, they're inexpensive, but you tried it. You didn't see any results. All you saw was wasted church budget. Look, I get it. That happens. But today I'm breaking down why Facebook ads don't work for churches. And for some churches, it won't. We're going to talk about that. We're going to revisit we're going to revisit the way we use Facebook ads, because guess what? If you just try to use Facebook to promote your programs and events, you're going to come across as a programmatic, event-driven church. And I know that's not what you want. And then I'm going to share how our agency is helping churches across the U.S. reach more people and be seen by thousands in their community to share the gospel and grow the kingdom using Facebook ads as one of the ways to do that. So listen, Facebook ads, they don't work. Okay, some people may even say they suck for churches. We're going to talk about that first. We're going to eat the elephant in the room. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. In this podcast show, video series, wherever you're watching this, we are here to help you move from unknown to best known. I'm tired of the local church being the best kept secret in the community. I'm going to show you in this show. We're 41 episodes in now, Pastor. And if you have not watched all of those episodes, I take full responsibility. Same as if I take full responsibility if you haven't met me. My name is Justin Nava, and I'm here to take you out from obscurity and bring you into the light in your community so you can be that city on a hill and you can actually meet people where they are, open up relationships to disciple them, share the gospel, and grow the kingdom, making maximum impact. Do you get it yet, Pastor? In today's culture in the U.S., we're between the traditional American culture into a postmodern, post-Christian culture. We have to do whatever it takes to reach people where they are, get their attention, bring them to church. God's calling them. We need to persuade them lest they do nothing, lest they continue to seek worldly solutions to their spiritual problems, or lest they, I think worse, follow a false teacher, false prophet, church that's not actually preaching the Christ redeeming gospel. Look, if you've watched this for any period of time, I appreciate you for sticking with me. This summer's been kind of I'm recording this August 28th. This summer's been pretty crazy. I had to be out of my office for renovations and repairs. So I was using my laptop cheapo camera, moved back into the office, couldn't get my good old studio camera working. So I was using my cheap old desktop camera, which was better. But now I'm finally live and using my good Sony camera. So I apologize. You can get me in all my glory here in high quality definition. And the problem was actually me, right? I'm finally using the right camera here, my Sony a6000 camera, and I was about to reorder the power supply because that's what was not working on the camera. You don't see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm going to fill you in right here, and I want you to listen to this because this is going to show, first of all, it's going to show that you're not the only one, Pastor, that has tech issues. People think of me as the tech guy. I have the same issues as you. And number two, it's going to actually bleed into what we're talking about today. But I have a Sony a6000 camera, which is a fancy word for like a $1,200 camera, and I use it for my show. But lately, the power cable has not been correctly sticking in the camera. Basically, you shove the power cable in there, it locks into the battery slot, plugs into the wall, camera can run for as long as you have power, don't have to rely on the battery. The problem is that the power cable kept coming out of the camera, kept falling out. And it was really making me mad to the point where I had to actually duct tape the power cable into the camera, because if I let it go, it would come out, and I had to tape it in there. Now I got marks on my camera. I've got glue residue from this duct tape. I'm in my studio finally, and I said, I gotta get a real power cable in here. But first, I'm gonna leave a 1-star review, because this power cable has been giving me issues really since day one. and now it just won't even stick in the camera. I'm upset. I hope it didn't ruin my camera. I'm going to order a new power cable, go onto Amazon, find the one that I ordered in 2021. That's how long it's been, how long I've let this be a problem. And I'm going to leave a 1-star review. Go find the power cable. Amazon said it's the one I purchased, but just to make sure I'm looking at the pictures, I'm swiping through the Amazon profile or listing to make sure that this is the power cable that I'm going to leave a 1-star review. Swipe through a couple pictures, and then I see a slide that says 3 steps for powering your camera. And I read through those steps, and guess what? I was only doing 2 of them. Step 1, plug it into your camera. Step 2, close the door. Step 3, basically there's a little hatch you slide the cable through. So it basically hooks into the camera and it's not just hanging loose. And what I was doing was I was letting it hang loose, all right, the camera. And lo and behold, I follow step 3, plug it in my camera, and I have no issues. This sucker's turning on. That cable is tight or taut, whatever you want to call it, and the camera's actually working. And I feel like an idiot, but how appropriate that happened to me this morning as I'm talking to you about Facebook ads. Look, I'm dealing with this garbage, this tech garbage, the same as you. I just have maybe a few different problems, but it's always the same, right? It's the tool that ends up being, it's the user or the person that's trying to work the tool that becomes the problem, not the tool itself. This is often what happens when I do my complimentary consultations to help churches build their marketing strategy to reach more people, triple their church guests so they can share the gospel and really make an impact in their community. I asked them, one of the questions is, have you tried Facebook ads? I always get a yes. Almost everyone's tried Facebook ads. If not, they've thought about it. And then I asked, well, if you tried it, what numbers or results did you see? And the answer was always the same. We saw some numbers. We didn't know if it was really working or it just wasted some money. Facebook ads suck. Look, I agree with you. Facebook ads can suck, and oftentimes they do suck, especially if you're on the receiving end of a bad ad. But what ends up happening when we really look deep is if they come to a client and we actually look into their ad account to set up new ads for them, we always see similar errors, bad setups. And you know what? It ends up being more of how it was set up than the actual platform or the actual tool itself. So I want to address that because Facebook ads don't work for churches if you incorrectly set it up or incorrectly use it. Then we're going to go into how to actually treat your Facebook ads, because a lot of people think it's just pretty picture and language. And that's the problem, because if you have a pretty picture and persuasive language, your Facebook ad's still going to suck. Okay. And I apologize, Pastor, if I keep saying suck. I mean, that's really the heart around Facebook ads. And I want to address that. This is really for the people that are just like frustrated. And I understand they may not even click on this because they're like, oh, this things about Facebook ads. I hate Facebook ads. It doesn't work. And that's why I want to address that. I want to get that out of the way first and address why Facebook ads don't work for churches. Then we're going to talk about how to make them work for your church. And then we're going to talk about our favorite ads that we use at my agency that we use for churches across the U.S. that actually build relationships where discipleship can happen, actually get people coming to church, meeting the congregation, meeting the leadership, and hearing the gospel to grow the kingdom. So let's get into it. Here's why Facebook ads don't work for your church. Okay, you probably feel it's a waste of time. You tried it before. It's not for you. But what ends up happening is blaming Facebook ads for not working for your church is often like people blaming a hammer for hitting their thumb. Okay, it's really not the tool's fault. It's how you probably set it up. And that sounds like I'm blaming you. I'm not blaming you. I'm really blaming the person who told you to try Facebook ads and didn't actually tell you what to do. Okay. I'm not going to hand a drill to my son and say, go put a hole in the wall without actually showing him how do you find the stud and what kind of screw do you use and how do you actually set the right torque on the drill? How do you hold your hand? By the way, it wasn't until I was 19 or 20 when I learned how to actually hold a drill. And that's no fault of my dad. He thought I was going to be a musician, so he didn't want me working with my hands to not break them and ruin my life. So I didn't actually learn how to use a drill because no one actually showed me how to do it. And that's, again, no fault, no blame to my dad. He had his, I think, very good and honorable reasons for not showing me how to properly use a drill. But I didn't realize it. Now that I know how to use a drill, I can drill things all around the house. I love it. almost to a fault, if you ask my wife. So it's not your fault that you didn't set up the Facebook ads right. It's not your fault you didn't hire the right person or get the right volunteer to run the Facebook ads because no one showed you what was happening. So if Facebook ads haven't worked for you, if you think they don't work for your church, if you think they have no business belonging in the church, it's probably the way you think it should be used or the way you think it's used and not what's actually going to work. And honestly, I blame the other gurus. I hate people calling me a guru. I'm not a guru. I'm barely an expert, okay? I'm on this journey, same as you. But I blame the other gurus because what they're doing is they're telling you to go do this and they're not telling you how because they know you're going to fail. And then they know, well, someone's going to pay me because they tried it themselves and they never told you the right way. Look, I'm here to share with you the right way. I will always be upfront and truthful with you in what's working for us because I know God's going to provide us with business. That's not my problem. I'm here to see 1 million churches become the cornerstone of their community. And to do that, Facebook ads is a really church budget friendly way. So if they haven't worked for you, let's go into why. Okay. And again, a lot of gurus will not go into why Facebook ads aren't working for your church. They're just going to go into a sales pitch. That's not what I'm here for. Okay. So, look, number one, and Pastor, I say this all the time with the most love I can out of my heart. You're a great speaker. You're a great orator. You're a great counselor. You're a great shepherd. You're probably not a great ad writer, copywriter, image creator, whatever you want to call it. This has to do more with the format of the ad. And I'm not talking about headline, text, call to action. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking about your ad was probably not relatable, which, by the way, think about the ad that you ran. Okay. Because if you just invited someone to church, you probably wouldn't just walk up to someone in the grocery store and blindly invite them to church. Okay. There's no need there. There's no pain there. There's no hurt there. There's no necessity there. There's no relationship there, which means if you tried ads before and it didn't work, chances are, especially for churches, it wasn't relatable. Okay. We keep saying we need to meet people where they are. But when it comes to Facebook ads, what I see from churches is come to where we are. Hey, aren't we so great? Come join us. Because you're a sinner, and like there needs to be some kind of addressing of understanding and empathy where people are and how your church is in the position to introduce them to relief, hope, purpose. In the context of church, you're introducing them to Jesus. We're never, ever, ever going to run ads where we promote the church as the answer. Jesus is the answer. The church is the context in which it happens. Okay, so you're probably not being relatable. If your Facebook ads are not working for your church, it may be because it's not relatable, meaning you're not giving me any reason why I should care. You're just telling me this information. Okay, it's the same reason why I met with my gym this morning. I do marketing for them, freelance, in exchange for the gym membership. And we're talking about this new program they want to run. It's a great program. And I keep asking them, why should anyone care? And they keep telling me, oh, it's only $7. No one's walking around wanting to spend $7. They're walking around wanting to lose weight, wanting to look better for their spouse, wanting to attract their spouse possibly, right? Like we have to really key into why people would want to take this program. And then we get to tell them, hey, it's only $7, right? So why would someone care about your church? Why would they want to know about your church? And again, you have to come to that table, I guess. You got to come to the table from their side of the door. Man, I'm confusing two illustrations here. You have to come to that ad from the perspective of a lost person, meaning you can't just say come to church because it's important. Only really Christians understand why church is important, and even a lot of them don't. Okay, so really what context does Jesus provide to people's lives in the context of church? Okay, and use that to create a relatable ad. So we're going to talk about like the do's, but for example, instead of saying come to church for great worship music, instead a relatable ad might mean, do you feel disconnected, lonely, like you're wandering around without a purpose? It may be because no one's actually shared the correct purpose for you. And we're talking about that this Sunday. We want you to come. We want you to belong. We want you to feel like you did in school when you actually had friends. And let's figure out what this life thing means together, right? Something like that. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head, but something like that will help you reach people where they are. and not appear holier than thou, not talk down to them, but come alongside them and say, join me on this journey. The other thing is you don't ask for a next step. And this is where a lot of churches get scary. They feel icky, okay? But if you just tell someone about Jesus and not invite them into a relationship and not invite them to follow and not invite them to surrender, not invite them to take a next step with Jesus, you're not evangelizing, you're not sharing the gospel, you're just telling people about Jesus, okay? That's why Jesus is often looked at more as a historical figure than a savior and redeemer, because we're just telling people about Jesus. We're not inviting them into a relationship. Now, I'm not saying do an altar call there in the Facebook ad, but if you're going to interrupt someone's day, give them something to do. Many church ads that I see that don't work because you're just telling people something. If you just tell someone something, they're going to forget it by the time they see the next cat video, or by the time they see the next person that has cancer on their Facebook feed, or worse, by the time they see that half-naked woman, right? They're going to totally forget about it. But if you can get them interested, if you can get their attention, get them interested, and get them to decide that church is maybe the next thing they should do, you got to get them to take an action. You got to get them to say, all right, I'm going to check this church out. Okay, whether that's send me a message, go look at the church page to plan a visit. I don't really like plan a visit that much, but hey, go look at here, send us a message, see what's available for kids, get them to do something. You got to get them to take a baby step. And if your church ad's not working, it may be because you're just telling people about your church and not inviting them to take a next step along that journey. And the other one is you might not have set it up properly. This happens a lot with churches that see a lot of money being spent on their Facebook ad, but see no one coming into the door. You might have had the area wrong. You might have had the demographic wrong, meaning you were targeting people that are not in your area or not able to come to your church, okay? The positioning may have been wrong. You spent a lot of money on sidebar ads or reel ads, like Instagram Reels ads, even though you're running a picture. Hey, they'll spend your money and put those ads in places it's probably not going to work. So you didn't have the right positioning. You didn't have the right spending, right? Someone said you can get 100 views for 7 cents. All right, well, let me put $1 on it. And you only got a couple dozen views because no one told you how to actually spend the money on Facebook to where Facebook is happy showing your ads and your church budget is happy. And if you just give Facebook $1, they're not going to pay much attention to you, okay? So you have to set up the spending right. And then not only that, the targeting, the retargeting, okay? If you keep showing the same ad to someone 7 times, they're going to be turned off. And then when they do see an ad, they're going to ignore you. Ignoring is worse than not seeing you at all. Okay, so how do you actually set up your ad to appear someone in a fresh way, in a relatable way? And if that doesn't work, how do you show it to them again in a different context? Maybe they don't feel like they need purpose in life. Maybe they need community. So if they don't pay attention to our purpose ad, maybe they'll pay attention to our community ad. Maybe they don't need community. They're happy where they are in life. They're happy with their friendships in life. They're happy with their purpose in life. But maybe they're just not, maybe something else is keeping them up at night. And so, instead of showing the same ad 20,000 times to the same person, maybe you can revisit what it looks like to actually speak to that person in a relevant way, get them to take a next step so they can actually engage with you to hear the gospel. Okay. That's why Facebook ads don't work for churches really, is because you just haven't taken the right time to set it up properly. It's like someone planting a church and then wondering where everyone is when you didn't do any effort to build a launch team, to even just start with your family and invite them over to your house. You planted a church. You're like, I'm going to start a church here. And then you wonder why no one's showing up because you haven't put in the actual legwork to properly set it up to find success. So at this point, you got 2 choices here. You can just, again, keep a hold of that comfort blanket. Facebook ads suck. They're not for us. They don't work. They're a waste of church money. I was smarter, which is honestly pretty selfish. Or you can actually use the platform for good, the correct way that makes it more, I should say, less expensive. I was going to say more inexpensive, but it makes it more inexpensive. Does that make sense? Can I say that for your church? It reaches more people. It's more relevant to them. It actually speaks to them, and you will actually see people coming to your church as a result. So instead of sitting there wondering, oh, the 40,000 people that are passing by our sign, I hope they remember us. I hope they saw us. Don't give them another sign to pass by and ignore. Let's give them actually something to act upon and a reason to care about your church. And that's what I'm going to share with you next, is how to reach more people in your community, specifically potential guests that your church can serve and share the gospel with, using Facebook ads for your church. Okay, so you probably feel like you just don't get it. Why is it working for everyone else? But I want to share with you what they're doing and what we do as an agency to find success, to spend less church budget, to reach more people, to get more meaningful engagement. Okay, meaningful engagement. Engagement is not worth anything unless it's actually in the context of sharing Christ, discipleship, building relationships that can lead to discipleship. Okay, engagement for engagement's sake is like getting people into church just for people getting into church sake. Okay, you've got to actually have it be meaningful. And to do that, I'm going to share with you here, you got to have a few things. So here's how to reach more potential guests with Facebook ads. Number one, you need to be demographically minded. A lot of people, when they start with Facebook ads, they just start with the creative. That's the last thing you need to worry about. Okay. And no one's going to tell you about that because creative is sexy to sell. People make more money. I'm here to make more impact. Okay. Put aside the creative for a second. And Facebook gives you a tremendous opportunity to reach a certain kind of person in your community. Now, I'm not talking about your target audience. I'm talking about the people your church is equipped to serve, okay? If you're a boomer church, guess what? More boomers are on Facebook now than ever. If you're trying to reach young family, you can create ads and show them just to young families. Or maybe you're a church that wants to reach people in the middle of a crisis, okay? They're recently going through a divorce. They just lost their job. Their income has changed. Their family relationships have changed. Whatever it could be, you could reach that kind of person without being creepy, but you can reach that kind of person and say the church is here for you. Jesus is here for you. And we can walk this journey with you so you don't have to go it alone. Okay? So instead of starting with what do we write and what kind of image do we use, what kind of video do I do, start with the person, okay? Because Christ is going to work through you, through that person. And the ad is just going to be how you get their attention. But start with the person, okay? And number two, by the way, is to be relationally driven. We talked earlier about you don't want to just show someone some information so they can forget about it, all right? I mean, think about this. We've been going for how long? 20 minutes. All right, man, 20 minutes. I feel like it's been a lot shorter than that. We've been going for 20 minutes now. How much have you actually remembered that I talked about? You probably don't remember much, okay? So if someone's scrolling through 717 Facebook posts and your Facebook ad is one of them, how are they going to remember that? You got to be relationally driven, okay? What do people actually stop at? Marriage announcements, birth announcements, cancer announcements, beautiful photos of their friends and family. They don't stop unless something is actually going to entertain them, bring them joy, bring them sorrow, bring them anger, bring them some kind of feeling, emotional feeling, or bring them some kind of comfort, okay? So I'm not saying your church ad needs to bring enragement, okay? But it needs to be, it needs to elicit some kind of response, okay? And Sundays at 10:30, happy family, friendly people, free donuts, that's not going to elicit a response. The best way you can elicit a response is try to actually build a relationship. And that's one of the best ways to treat Facebook ads. It's not an information platform, it's a relation platform. Hello, clip that. Facebook ads is not an information platform. It's a relation platform. It's a way to introduce your church and spark a relationship in a way that no one else can give you. Because in no other way are you going to reach a cold audience, meaning people that don't even know that you exist, but are in your area. And you can say, hey, we see you, we understand you, we've been where you've been, and we've tasted and seen something greater. Don't use that exact language, but invite them into relationship. And I'll actually share a couple of the ads later that we use that spark relationships, meaningful relationships. So actually when guests come into the door, it's not, hi, who are you? Is this your first time? Instead, it's, oh, it's Bob. Bob, I'm so glad you're here. I can't believe we got to talk to each other and now you're here. Let me pray for you. Let me show you around. Okay. And the last thing is you got to make them commit. And this is where a lot of churches back away a little bit. Well, we don't want to be too in your face. We don't want to be too aggressive. You got to be aggressive. Be aggressive, okay? Meaning, hey, this Christ is for you. This Jesus is for you. There's hope and purpose, peace, and abundant living and joy here. And the next step is to send us a message, is to ask us a question, is to tell us how to pray for you, is to visit our website, is to watch this video. Give them a next step to take. Okay, you notice I did all the reasons why Facebook ads don't work. A lot of those, the opposite of that is what makes Facebook ads work. So all of these together helps you reach potential guests within Facebook ads for literally cents on the dollar. Okay. Because now instead of saying, look at how great our church, join us Sundays at 10:30. Okay. Now you're demographically minded. You're reaching people in your community that your church is equipped to serve. You're being relationally driven. How can we pray for you? Life is crazy. How can we help you? What can we point you to? Okay. And you're starting a conversation in which discipleship can actually happen. And then you're making them commit. You're giving them a call. You're not calling them to the altar, but you're saying, look, I understand where you're at. Here's the next step to relieve that, to escape that, to break that chain, to break that addiction, to find the next season of your spiritual journey that no one else has been able to fill. Okay. All those pieces work together. You realize Facebook ad really isn't about advertising. It's about sparking relationships and then nurturing those relationships so you can actually build relationships. I keep saying relationships, but build relationships in your community. That's what this is about. It's not about advertising. It's about introducing. So let me spend the last of this show. This show's going to be a little bit shorter because my son is homesick. He's taking a nap. I don't want to risk being interrupted. So we're going to go into my last point here, my favorite and best performing Facebook ads for churches. Look, these ads are going to make you feel like you finally unlocked the secret. All those feelings you might feel right now about Facebook ads, those are going to go away. And it's kind of like myself. If you go and look at old Instagram and old Facebook photos, I used to be over 350 pounds. Now I'm under 250. I'm actually under 240. And I've lost a lot of weight. And guess what? I probably did diets into the 30s or 40s. I've tried 30 different diets, 40 different diets. I tried so much. And it wasn't until I found the right mix of things that worked for me did I lose over 100 pounds. Okay. So if you want to stop being frustrated by just hearing all the great things about Facebook ads and you're sitting here like, this didn't work for me, what else do I need to do? Look, I'm going to help you save the budget and save the time so you can focus on people. You shouldn't be focused on what software do I need? How do I learn this software? Why isn't it working? Let me get support. All that time should be better spent putting you in front of people. So I'm going to give you 3 ads that you can try, and this is what we do. This is kind of our starting point to build relationships. Again, we're not advertising your church. We're building Christ-centered relationships for discipleship using Facebook ads as the medium to spark those relationships. Number 1, my favorite ad, Ask Me Anything. This isn't for everyone, but if you really, pastor, want to be challenged in your own faith and you want to show that your community that you have nothing to hide, do an Ask Me Anything ad. Hey, this is Pastor Joe. I'm at First Baptist, whatever, down the street, and I want to challenge you to ask me anything. What is on your mind that you feel hasn't been answered by the church, or that you feel like there's the spiritual hole and you need an answer to fill it? Okay, you may get nervous about that. You're going to get mostly the same questions. Okay. Why does evil exist? Why did my wife leave me? Why did God put me on this earth? You're going to get a lot of questions you already know how to answer. Only every once in a while, you'll get a militant atheist that has no actual interest in the answer. You can spot those from a mile away and you can handle those how you would normally handle those. But when you ask me anything, it shows 2 things. Number 1, wow, this church actually cares about me enough to not say, hey, come hear me preach, but instead let me answer something that you're needing. Number 2, there's more than 2 things. Number 2, you're going to see what's really hurting your community, because if you run this ad for long enough, you're going to see the commonalities. Okay. Why did God let me get addicted to this? Why does God let me do this? How do I escape this? Right? How do I tell my wife this? How do I help my husband this? How do I get away from my husband who's doing this? Right? You're going to see a lot of commonalities, unfortunately, so you'll know better how your church can serve the community. So instead of wasting time trying these ministries that worked at another church in another area, you can actually build ministries from the ground up using the information you gathered from the relationships you're building on Facebook. Number 2 is a prayer ad, but it needs to be focused. Okay. Don't just say, hey, how can we pray for you? Hey, church, we're so great. Again, this comes off holier than thou. Okay. Look at you. Aren't you so suffering and plebe? And how can we pray for you, little one? No, we don't want to do that. Okay. It needs focus. This is where we go back to the demographic research. Why don't you make an ad for recently divorced people, and the ad says, hey, we understand life is hard, things change, unexpected seasons come across us. We want to be there for you. Let us know how we can pray for you, how we can support you, and let's have a conversation and get you out of this hole or get you through this, right? That is a lot better than, hey, how can we pray for you, right? People aren't going to pay attention to that. Again, being demographically focused, being relationally driven, and asking them to take an action, you're going to see prayer ads. actually work for your church when they haven't before. Now, the last one is actually my least favorite. It's the starting point for a lot of people. I don't like it, but it is a good performing ad, and that's using, within our context, demographically minded, relationally driven, and making them take an action to meaningfully engage for you is events. Okay. You can market your events, but number one, preferably ask them to sign up for it, RSVP for it, offer them something special. Even if everyone gets it, just say it's something special. Okay. So that way you can know if they're actually engaging with you. Okay. Tell them, hey, do you have a question about this event? Send us a message. Okay. You could do that as well. And then to make it more meaningful, at the event, collect information on everyone that attends the event, not just the people. Oh, did you come from a Facebook ad? Don't just ask them that. Say, as part of the check-in process, even if it's a day at the park, right? Do a check-in process. Get their name, email. How did you hear about us? Okay. How did you hear about us? There can be a checkbox for Facebook ad, checkbox for word of mouth. Friend invited me, saw a sign, whatever. I was at the park at the same time. First of all, you'll find out if people are actually inviting people to events. That's a whole different thing. People may say they saw a Facebook ad, but what you can do is you can actually take their email, give it to Facebook, and Facebook will spit that back out at a very general. You're not going to know specifics, okay? But it will tell you, hey, actually, these people we showed the ad to, okay? So you can get a general idea if they actually came because the Facebook ad showed them the event, okay? Again, demographically minded, relationally driven, and make them commit, make them take an action. Okay. Don't just tell them, hey, there's this cool event. Don't you want to come? See you there. Like, people are going to forget about that. That is a waste of money. Don't ever run an ad like that. Okay. And unfortunately, that's what the gurus will tell you to do. It's not how you run effective ads. Okay. Not only that, guys and gals, when they see your ad, they're going to want to make sure you're the real deal. They may go visit your website. So just a quick thing here, go to Nava Church website. All right. This is a framework for our website. So if someone sees your ad and is like, I don't know who this is, they click your Facebook profile. They're like, okay, well, let me go to their website. You want to make sure you make a positive first impression. You want to make sure you make a relatable first impression, and one that's going to stick in their minds, help you be memorable, and help you actually persuade them to come to your church. Instead of sticking with the worldly solutions they're displeased with, instead of chasing others, they will see Jesus in you. They can do that even on your website. Go to navachurchwebsite.com. Now, look, you've got two choices at this point, okay? We talked about this. You can blame the tool and sit there with your nose up. Facebook ads didn't work for us. We're too good, I guess. Or you can actually utilize it to reach more people. You could spend $300 on 1,000 mailers and hope it works. Or you can spend $300 on a week of Facebook ads, and you can actually develop a dozen prayerful relationships to get people in the door. Okay. And you don't have to hope it works. You don't have to hope they saw it, wonder how many people threw it away. I hate spending money just to know people are going to throw it away. But you can actually see faces, names, meaningful connections. It's a relational direction Facebook ads gives us. It's not about blasting. It's about sparking the relationship. Thank you guys for watching. I'm glad we're back here, back to a little bit more things of how normal they are. If you enjoyed this show, like and subscribe. Next week, we're going to talk about how your church can reach people who don't even know that they don't know you. I'm not talking about a billboard. I'm not talking about flyers and signs. I'm not talking about door knocking campaigns. I don't have any problem with those. But what I'm going to share with you next week is how you can get people who don't know that they don't know you, meaning they're literally next door, they pass you all the time, they're across town, they don't see you ever, or they're disconnected from you in some way. You can actually appear in front of them and gain instant trust, so they'll be encouraged to check you out. Not only that, this next week is actually how your church can be everywhere, so people in your community will know you. Even if they choose not to engage with you, if they choose to reject Jesus and therefore reject you, they'll at least know you, see something is different. And again, it's just chiseling away in God's calling to them. Okay, we're going to talk about that next week as we talk about being everywhere and the secret sauce of how we do that. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe wherever you are, and I'll see you all next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode. of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.